Just how many commercial vessels, if any, are currently making it through the strait, and how many are waiting?
We are seeing very few get through. The numbers that were put out by the Joint Maritime Information Center is it has dropped from 98 ships on February 28th to just one yesterday.
Okay, so for those then waiting, because obviously it's effectively shut at this stage, for those waiting, what sort of insurance do they currently have and what might they need?
So the ships were carrying war risk insurance before the conflict started, but at a very low level. And because of the sudden nature of this conflict just erupting all of a sudden on February 28th, and because the U.S. really didn't coordinate with the insurance companies decided to basically withdraw the insurance. You have to understand in maritime shipping, the insurance companies are actually the shipping companies. So they decided to kind of hold their ships and wait to get more money into the pool because they were worried that they may incur more damage if ships start sailing in. They were in the process of doing that. We were about ready to see shipping start when all of a sudden we saw reinsurance pulled again following the U.S. attack on the Iranian frigate off the coast of Sri Lanka.
You mentioned reinsurance there, Sal. President Trump is offering reinsurance for losses, as I just mentioned, up to 20 billion in the Gulf region. Is that workable in practice?
It's really dangerous because the insurance cost doesn't just cover the cost of the ship and the cargo and the crew, it's the liability. And one of the things we found out in shipping is liability can really be open-ended. Incidents like the Ever Given in the Suez, the Dolly in Baltimore, those exceeded billions of dollars. So if you have a few vessels hit, an oil spill, a potential environmental damage, it could cap out that $20 billion. Really what they need to do is get the commercial system that was in place up and running, and now make it safe enough for the ships to start running through the straits into the Persian Gulf.
Yeah, so Will, if it does become safe and, reopens, I imagine that does still come with some risk. Are some of these agents priced out of what the insurance would cost them to re-establish that route through the Hormuz Strait?
Well, what we've seen is the war risk insurance has gone almost 10 times as amount. You had a war risk insurance of about 0.15%. Now we're sitting at about 1.5%. But understand what shippers are going to do is just transfer that cost over to consumers. So if you're hauling a load of oil, you're just going to make that load of oil more expensive. And they will eventually sail through. During the height of the tanker war back in the 1980s, we saw war risk insurance of 1 to 3%, and at times it topped out at 5 to 7%. And because this area provides 20% of the global oil and 20% of the liquefied natural gas, there's really not a lot of alternatives out there. Australia, which is a major liquefied natural gas provider, cannot really up its production more than what can be provided out of Qatar.
Is there any chance that if this does go on and these shipping companies try to navigate the Strait of Hormuz, that the US could conduct convoy operations?
There is that potential, and the U.S. talked about that. President Trump specifically discussed that. It's a very tough operation for them to do. We're seeing about 700 ships stuck inside the Persian Gulf right now. On average, you run about 100 to 125 ships through the Persian Gulf at a daily basis. The U.S. Navy does not quite have enough assets to really do that. Plus, just getting through the Strait of Hormuz isn't enough. You would have to actually convoy all the way up to Kuwait in Iraq, over 500 nautical miles. It's a very difficult prospect. However, it is possible using air assets and naval assets. But sooner or later, I think sometime this week, we're going to start seeing more and more ships start going through. We're already starting to see ships trying to run through the strait right now.
Yeah, and how are they doing that? Is that covertly? Are they switching off some of their signals?
Yeah, we're seeing them turn off. What you're seeing right there is that marine traffic. They're broadcasting their automatic identification system. They will turn off their AIS, or what they call spoof it, send it into an improper location, and try to run through. We've seen Iranian ships do it. We've had a couple of Greek ships run through it, Greek-owned ships come through, and several vessels that are carrying cargo for China. And I would expect we will start seeing more and more ships start running through this area in this upcoming week.
Just how dangerous is that?
It is dangerous. I mean, obviously, you have threats, multiple threats. It's probably as dangerous as what we saw happen down in the Red Sea for 2 years, where the Houthi attacked somewhere in the range of 100 ships, damaged maybe about 24, and actually sank 4 vessels, killed 9 merchant mariners. Let's not forget the Iranians so far have struck at least 14 vessels that we know of, and maybe as many as 11 merchant mariners killed. So there is a risk involved with this, and we could potentially see ships struck either inbound to the Persian Gulf or worse, struck outbound because those will be the fully loaded vessels.